ago today, I was training to become a flight attendant, and a lot of things happened since then. I don't really understand how I feel right now. It's so hard to explain. I never expected things to happen the way they did. I'm sure none of us expected things to happen the way they did, but well, life's like that. It's just so full of uncertainties, and right now what we can do is to just keep praying for things to become better. We just have to keep our faith burning, because whatever this is, whatever we are experiencing right now, this is temporary. This too shall pass. We just have to have faith. Anyway, I want to share with you guys some of the things I had gone through while I was training to become a cabin crew. So on October 21, 2019, I met 33 wonderful people who made a huge impact in my life. 31 of those were my co-trainees, my batchmates, and the remaining 2 were our instructors, Miss Gigi and Sir Maki. On our first day of training, it was just like a normal classroom setup. It was just like a normal first day of school setup, wherein we had to get to know each other, we had to introduce ourselves. Our first week of training was basically introduction to everything. But then into examination, because we had our first exam on our first week of training. So basically, introduction to everything talaga. So from October 21 to December 6, 2019, the journey I had to take to become a cabin crew was not easy. The 47-day training was definitely not easy. So if you are an aspiring cabin crew, you really have to gather so much strength, courage, perseverance, sleep, motivation, because you'll need a lot of those when you train. Your knowledge will also be tested through written and practical examination. For us, we were given 3 lives for each type of exam. Maybe when it's your turn to train, you'll be given the same. I'm not so sure. But what I'm sure of is the fact that you really have to take care of your chances. Because if you use up all your lives, then you'll get kicked out of the training. So you really have to study with all your strength and with all your might. So if you have a good study habit right now, then that's an edge. If you don't, then do yourself a favor. You really have to practice studying. You really have to study almost every day of your training life, even after your graduation. Kahit lumilipad ka na, kailangan mo pa rin mag-aral. So you really have to study. So mag-practice ka ng mag-study ngayon. We were given 2 manuals, and we had to familiarize ourselves with everything that was in it. We had to memorize as much information as we could. We had to memorize a lot of terminologies, procedures, aircraft differences, emergency equipment, and a lot more. First exam, which was about aeronomenclature, we had to study a lot of pages, a lot of terminology, squeezed into 40 items, 90 or 95% passing rate. I'm not so sure. Basta either 90 or 95. Of course, we had to study everything, diba? Because we didn't want to risk. That was our first exam. We didn't want to waste 1 life or 2 or all our lives sa first exam pa lang. So we really did our best to study. So we really studied everything. And then after our first exam, we had to take a lot of examination pa. That's why you really have to study. So i-assess mo na yung self mo kung paano ka mag-study. You know what? I'm a firm believer that whatever works for you, works for you. Kasi when most of my classmates started studying, I was still sleeping. I slept, and then I crammed. Because cramming works for me. So I crammed the first exam. For all of our exams, because it works for me, but I don't recommend it. If you can study as soon as possible, then do so. One of the many things you have to remember when you start, actually 3 of the many things you have to remember when you start training. First would be, you really have to pray for guidance. And then next would be, you really have to pay attention. You really have to be attentive during lectures. And then third would be study. We were also taught about first aid. We are actually trained first aiders, so that's one of the many things you have to learn. We also had to do survival swimming. we had to jump into a 10 feet deep pool and we had to stay afloat for like a minute or so while manually inflating our life vest. So if you're not that good of a swimmer, or if you are not a good swimmer, then practice ka na rin mag-swim. You really have to practice swimming and floating because you'll need that when you train, especially sa survival swimming. You really have to learn how to stay calm kahit nasa water ka na, kahit super deep, and kahit di ka marunong lumangoy. Always have the presence of mind. When your instructors tell you to jump, you jump. When they tell you to stay afloat, you stay afloat. When they tell you to inflate your vest, you inflate your vest. When they tell you to deflate your life vest, you deflate your life vest. When they tell you to swim as fast as you can, then you swim as fast as you can. You just really have to practice ka na if you don't know how to swim. For me, and I'm sure my batchmates would agree, and all those cabin crew who went through the same training would agree that the most stressful time during the training nung nasa emergency procedures na kami. Because when you're already there, that means you're almost at the end of the training. Konting kembot na lang, konting iyak na lang. It's actually a combination of everything you've learned throughout the training. My emergency procedures for A320, A321, A320 CEO, A320 NEO, A321 CEO, A3... Kasi yun nga, you also have to learn about the aircraft differences. Super stressful na kasi you really have to study. You really have to review everything you've learned. And of course, mas sleep deprived ka. It was very stressful because we had to memorize a lot of things. We had to memorize commands, we had to memorize certain procedures, things like that. And I remember during our emergency procedures, yung practical drill namin, yung EP drill namin para sa A321, my right knee was hurting so bad. And it was so difficult for me to run. It was so hard for me to be snappy. So I remember telling the instructor assigned to me, I told her na I couldn't be as snappy as I should be because my right knee was really hurting so bad. I really couldn't understand how I felt that time. It was really so painful. And then I told her it was so hard for me to bend. But when it was my team's turn na to do the drill, I don't know, I still ran as fast as I could. I really bent while looking for pin downs, and it was so painful, but I had to endure it. Because I was a trainee, I had to do whatever I had to do. So after that, it was so hard for me to leave the plane. It was so hard for me to walk down the stairs because I couldn't bend na. It was really so painful na, but it was so worth it. Good thing my right knee recovered naman kaagad. Because after that was our SSLE, which stands for Supervised Line Experience. My gosh, you guys, your grade for your supervised line experience would compose 50% of your final grade. So you really have to do well sa supervised line experience mo. You would do that twice. The first one, hindi siya graded. So may room for mistakes pa, but minimal lang. The CCM assigned to me was Sir Chad for election. Napakabait ni Sir Chad. He was so patient with me. Grateful na siya yung instructor ko, na siya yung naka-assign sa akin kasi I was so tanga. Really, my gosh, I was so tanga. I really didn't know what to do. Sa SLE, you really have to board the plane and do the duties and responsibilities of a cabin crew. So, may certain duties and responsibilities yon, iba-iba. Iba yung duties and responsibilities ni L1, L2, R1, R2, ganun. So, you really have to memorize your D&R. They will teach you that during the training. But of course, it's different when you have to apply it na in real life. November 30 yon. Yung sign-in time namin was, I think, 2:45 a.m. I was so kapoy. My gosh, I was so tanga. I was so sleepy. I was so sleepy sa whole flight. Every time prepare for landing and prepare for... Nung nasa passenger seat na ako, naidlip ako. Buti na lang wala nakakita. And then yun. And then after that, I had a parang one-on-one interview wherein he asked me about everything I've learned during the training and things like that. When I got back sa dorm, I was so kapoy. I still felt like I was floating. You know the feeling? Yung whole day kang nasa beach, yung whole day kayong nag-swimming and everything. And then when you get home, you sleep, you feel like you're floating. That's how I felt. feeling ko nasa ere pa rin ako. And then I slept for like a very long time. I woke up just in time to prepare for my check ride. So the next day, December 1, was my SLE. Yung check ride na talaga, yung graded na. The CCM assigned to me was Miss Thea. Oh my gosh, Miss Thea. So of course, I had to do well sa grooming. Of course, I made sure na on point talaga everything na 100% sa grooming kasi of course, hello, Miss Thea. Miss Thea is one of the strictest when it comes to no, actually everything. When it comes to everything, she's very particular when it comes to grooming and everything. That's why it was very scary na siya yung CCM na naka-assign sa akin. So of course, sign in time again, early on. Parang first flight yun to Cebu. 2 legs lang, Manila to Cebu, Cebu to Manila. A321, R1 ako. I remember one of the passengers sa Manila to Cebu, sa Cebu to Manila na flight was my friend, Von. Nasa zone ko siya, nasa zone A siya. I remember he was there, and I remember how tanga I was doing the safety demo. Hi Von, if you're watching. After the flight, after the second leg, Miss Thea had to ask me a lot of questions about the training, about the things I've learned, how to operate the fire extinguisher, paano ba yung normal door? What should you do in case of a lavatory fire? What should you do kapag ganito yung mangyayari? Or like this and that? Sino yung mga APACs mo? Saan nakaupo yung mga APACs mo? Ganon. So that's why you really have to prepare. You really have to study everything you've learned from the very beginning until the very end. Kasi 50% of your grade ay manggagaling sa check ride mo. So you really have to do your best dyan. I still am very grateful for Miss Thea. Thank you, Miss Thea. And then after that, yun. That was it. After that, we had to prepare for our graduation. We didn't know our ranking. We didn't know our class standing, and we didn't know who were part of the top 10 or part of the top 3, kung sino yung class salutatorian or kung sino yung class valedictorian until the graduation day. So if it's your goal to top your class, you really have to remember your scores sa every exam. Kasi for us, hindi sinabi sa amin, hindi din-disclose yung class standing namin. So it was a surprise to each one of us sa graduation day kung sino-sino yung mga nandun sa top 10 or whatever. So that's it. I'm finally done with my first vlog. Yay! So if you've reached this part of the video, thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching. I really, 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 really appreciate you. Bless you. And then what else pa ba? That's it. So if you're an aspiring cabin crew, I hope this video helped you sa, your preparation for your training. I wish you all the best, and I wish you'll do well. Good luck, and don't forget to pray. Please don't forget to give this video a like, or please don't forget to like this video, and don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to click or tap the notification bell somewhere here or there. Basta, alam niyo na yan, and the subscribe button here. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. Yay! Thank you so much!